Welcome, everybody. I'm Dean Hebel, Executive Director of TATT at the Top, and we're glad to have you with us today for our October TATT Chat. We do these monthly now for the last 5.5 years. They're a way to connect the region and hear about things going on in the upstate without having to add more traffic to 85, 385, or any of the other fun roads in our region. So that is always good. If this is your first TATT Chat, or if you just want to say hello, please feel free to put your name, company, and company in the chat and your contact information, and that way you can hopefully connect with other folks throughout this call. Going to provide a quick TATT at the Top update before we hear from our guest speakers for today. It's been a busy year so far. I actually just came back from speaking to the Rotary Club of Laurens County of Laurens this afternoon, and we have, as an organization, conducted 56 regional engagements so far this year with over 1,600 participants. Last month, we unveiled the Resilient Upstate Behavioral Health Resources, and this month on October 15th, we will be holding the first of two Resilient Upstate small group workshops. We have one on October 15th and another on November 5th, going to be held here in the community room of the Park 37 complex where we have our offices. These are small group sessions designed for have about 15 to 20 participants, and the workshops are geared for organizations and companies with employees to talk about how to utilize behavioral health resources and to create stigma and recovery-friendly workplaces within your organization. So if you are part of a company that maybe doesn't have a full-time HR person or a lot of that expertise, and you want to learn more about how to engage around behavioral health, the link has been put in the chat, and you can join us either October 15th or November 5th. We have our next Upstate Connect on October 17th at VCOM in Spartanburg. Excited about that. Going to hear about the Northside Initiative and the connection between education and the amazing work that's been done over the last decade plus at the North Side. Then we will be staying in Spartanburg County on October 30th for our next Upstate Downtown Academy. That session will be in Landrum. A link for the VCOM event and for the Landrum event is being put in the chat. We only have about 5 spots, I think, left for the Downtown Academy. So if you are interested, be sure and register as soon as you can for that event. We'll be holding our annual Celebrating Successes brunch on November 19th from 9:30 to 11:30 at the Hyatt Regency in downtown Greenville. The link is there for you to register. If you are a TATT at the Top funding partner, your primary contact has received information about your complimentary tickets. If you are not a funding partner, it's only $35, pretty good deal for a fun and entertaining event. I was telling the group today that we have all the elements of a great event. We have great food. We have mimosas, so we have alcohol, and it's the Elevate Upstate grants are part of it, so people receive money. So if you have not planned to join us, please, I hope you will. It is a fun event, and we are really excited about having that on November 19th. You can see this from the slide here. We have listed our leadership level funding partners for this year. We want to thank them, as well as all of our funding partners, for your support of TATT at the Top. Celeste is putting a link in the chat with our funding partners. And please feel free to join us if you are not currently a funding partner. We have plenty of space available for you. And then lastly, you can sign up for our e-newsletter if you are not already receiving it. It goes out every other week and has great information, not just about our organization, but about things happening across the upstate region. So I hope you will plan to sign up if you're not already receiving that. So today we are thrilled to have our good friend Tom Tyra from GSP International Airport with us as our speaker. Tom is the Chief Marketing and Communications Officer at GSP International Airport and has been at the airport since 2018, which seems amazing that it's been that long, Tom. But so we're going to start, Tom, with some trivia. I want to see if we have, the answer to this, but I want to see if any of the folks on the call know this so they can hopefully put in the answer in the chat. So next week is the anniversary of the first flight at GSP, right? On October 15th. So what I want to see if folks know is what year the flight happened. So thus, what anniversary will GSP be celebrating next week? So we'll see if we have anybody who either remembers, was there, or is really good at Google to find it while you're starting. But Tom, with all seriousness, we're glad to have you with us. You have done this before, and it's always a popular session to hear about what's happening at our airport, which continues to receive amazing awards and recognition, well deserved for all that's going on there. So with that, Tom, I'll turn it over to you.
Well, great. Thank you so much, Dean. It's been about a year or so since our last time that we gave a TAT Chat update. And so there has been a lot going on at the airport and a lot more coming. So let me start by sharing my screen here, and I'll just roll through a few of the things. If you've been out to the airport anytime, in the last year or so, hopefully you can see the screen there. And let me put it into play. Okay. And so hopefully if you've been throughout the airport, you've seen a lot of bulldozers, you've seen roadways change, you've seen all kinds of things going on at the airport. So I thought today what I'd do is I'd run through and kind of tell you what all that is about and why we're doing all that, but then also introduce some new things in 2026 that will potentially alter some travel habits and to give you some advance notice ahead of time so you can make plenty of chances to plan ahead if you have large events or things in the towards the end of 2026. But we'll get into that in just a moment. So let's talk a little bit about air service. So currently we have 7 airlines flying to 29 nonstop destinations. So we've added quite a few here over the last few years. In fact, over the last 5 years, all 7 of these airlines have actually added a new destination, if not more than one. So we've added places that we would have never flown to before, like places like Fort Myers and White Plains and Hartford and even Los Angeles, California, that we've added within the last couple years. There's been 2 new airlines, low-cost airlines, that have joined us in the last couple years. So it's the Breeze Airways. They're now up to 8 destinations. We're talking very closely with them. We have high hopes for 2026 that they'll continue to grow here at GSP. And then there's Avelo Airlines, which currently flies to New Haven, Connecticut, serving up the Yale area and up in the outskirts of the New York City area. And they also have big plans for us in 2026. So we'll see where those go. So with these new flights, we've been adding obviously more passengers, but we all know if we've been living in the upstate for any amount of time, this region has been on an upward trajectory for quite some time. And you can look back to this chart only goes back to 2010, but frankly, I can go back to 1962. And if you put our average growth, annual growth rate back to 1962, we were just under 5% a year, every single year. And so some years were 15%, some were no growth, but we've averaged a 5% annual growth over our history. And you can see from 2010 up to 2019, pretty consistent growth. 2020, we had a little hiatus in travel for the pandemic there for a few years, but quickly we recovered. And last year we set an all-time boarding record. This year, calendar year 25, we will be over 3.1 million passengers, which is another record. And moving forward, we're projecting that our 5% per year average growth rate will continue for at least the next 10 years. So that's how we're planning facilities moving forward, is to know that each and every year we're seeing passengers come in. A lot of this is add new flights, new, airline routes, you'll get more passengers. A lot of it, frankly, is people moving in here from other parts of the country. And we all know about the growth and the population growth that we've seen over the last few years. So with that, we started seeing this trajectory of growth. Now, this is prior to the pandemic, but we were putting together our 20-year master plan. So we released that in 2020. And at the time when, 98% of all the airline traffic evaporated overnight, we thought maybe we were being a little too robust in our plans for growth. But we continued on, and during that time of the pandemic, we actually did a lot of roadway work. If you notice, Aviation Parkway put a large roundabout area in there. We extended some of the lanes, repaved it, resurfaced. We built 2 parking lots with P1 and P3. And just, looking at that 19, the airport actually started construction in 58. First flight was 62. But we were, had 1958 vintage roadways. And so it wasn't designed for the type of traffic that we're accepting today and will in the future. So we started adapting the roadways pretty significantly at that point. Quickly, that moved into the project that we just completed about a year ago, which was a total rebuild of the front of the airport. So the total curb rebuild, we added 2 lanes in the front of the airport. We and lengthened the front of the curb to twice the original size so that we could accommodate the facility growth that we think we're going to have in the future. So that was about an $18.5 million project just completed, and it has made a world of difference. And what that did is it actually opened up the ability for us to add infrastructure like our $97 million parking garage that's under construction right now. We are finishing up that project. Frankly, it's only been going for about a year, a little less than a year. And we expect that public parking on levels 3 and 4 will open up just prior to this Thanksgiving. And then we'll have the rental car facilities that are in there. So we're going to move the rental cars out of garage A and into garage C. Currently, our rental cars, it's not a super efficient way that they're set up. They're in garage A, but if they need to be fueled or washed or an oil change, they go down GSP Drive all the way down to almost 14, and you have cars coming up and down that road all day long, dozens and dozens of them. Not super efficient, not great for congestion, not great for sustainability. So all of those rental car operations will be consolidated into this garage. So there'll be fueling, washing, light maintenance, those types of things will all be in that garage. And that will open up the first week of December. That gives us extra parking capacity. And anyone who has tried to park in garage A or B on a Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, or Friday knows they are in high demand. And so this will give us another 1,500 parking spaces right next to the building. So we're happy to see that come on board. So now that we have some roadways that have been adapted for better, access, we have more places to park. We have new routes. We've got to have some place to put the airplanes. And so this year, about a month ago, we actually just started operations with 2 new passenger boarding bridges. One is on the A concourse, it's A0, and then the other one is B5. So that's on the concourse, kind of where Delta and Breeze Airways flies out of. So we've gone from 13 to 15 passenger boarding bridges. This gives us more room to park airplanes, allows us to handle more passengers more efficiently, and don't have to have as many airplanes waiting for another airplane to get off the gate. So much needed capacity, and those are in service now. Now that we have more people, more places to park, everything else, we need them to be able to sit somewhere. So we just got almost done with a $2.6 million project to completely change every seat in the airport campus. So we have added about another 20% in the number of chairs. We've opened up areas that never had seating before. And all the seating's in. The part that we're finishing up over the next few months is we are actually pulling power to each and every seat so that you'll be able to charge your phone, your tablets, your laptops, those types of things at every single seat. So no more trying to find a plug somewhere, people sitting on the floor, begging, pleading to, we now you don't need to plug that in. It's only, something important for security. I need to charge my phone. Uh, it's going to have power at every single seat. And so we expect that to be in place prior to the end of the calendar year. So let's talk a little bit about air cargo. That's the type of stuff that's on the other side of the airport. Obviously, if you're looking up, particularly on Woodruff Road, as on the main approach in there, you're going to see some very large aircraft moving in. And we are a significant cargo gateway. This region is a logistics and high manufacturing, advanced manufacturing region. And with that, they have a need for air cargo services. So GSP, it's kind of surprises people, but we're actually the 23rd largest cargo airport based on international trade value. So it's not always on volume. You can have lots of UPS and FedEx and others. It's the price of the stuff that we're shipping. So very expensive vehicles, X-ray machines, power generators, those types of things. Very high value trade comes in and out of GSP. In fact, it's about $5.8 billion in trade each and every year just coming through the airport. So it's an area that particularly since the pandemic, we saw a big increase there, but it has increased beyond that. And now we have carriers who were trying us out during the pandemic because they couldn't get through the traditional gateways. They have found they like GSP, they like the area, the logistics, hookups with highways and rail and inland port, and they've decided to stay. And so we see large potential moving forward with that. We currently have, this is another little trivia contest. We currently have nonstop service not only to Germany, but to Belgium, to Korea, to China, and to Bogota, Colombia. And then we have charter flights that go everywhere. So we had some to South Africa. We've had them all over the world come in and out, moving large equipment. So back in 2019, for the pandemic, we were kind of in the cargo business and decided, hey, we really need some more space. So we built a 110,000 square foot building. Frankly, thought we were going to be in that building for decades. Plenty of room. We're never going to fill this thing up. Well, almost immediately we filled it up. And so just 3 years later, we added another 50,000 square feet to that building to make it 160,000 square feet. We added a parking ramp to make it able to handle three 747 wide body aircraft simultaneously. Again, we thought, wow, we're never going to get more than that. And soon we found out that that was also mistaken. And so we expanded our ramp just a year and a half later. And we expanded the ramp to be able to hold six 747s simultaneously. If anything smaller than that, it could be 8 to 10 other aircraft all on the ramp at the same time. So 35 acres of pavement just for parking cargo aircraft. Significant capacity for an airport our size, but we continue to have plans to eventually fill that up and move on. And so with that in mind, our commission actually just last month authorized us to move forward with design on a second cargo building, about 130,000 square foot building that's going to be accommodating future growth. So we'll have this designed, and when the right opportunity approaches us, we'll be able to, within 12 months, have a building up and operational so we don't miss on opportunities as they present themselves. So you may see another few cargo facilities going in at the end of the runway there. So let's talk a little bit about general aviation. General aviation is really important for particularly counties that are less urban. There are there's corporate headquarters, there are large manufacturers and things that want to move into areas, but passenger air service and commercial air service is not always the most convenient, but they will fly into county airports and secondary and general aviation airports. And so we have a lot of companies that want to move into this area, and they want their flight teams and their fleets to be very close to where their corporate headquarters or regional headquarters are. And so we had a general aviation terminal that we operate, and found that there is a much more demand coming, and we need to be ready for that. So we just doubled the size of our existing corporate terminal, about a $15 million project. We just opened that up last summer. And so we have, much improved facilities than where we had before. More training facilities, more pilot amenities, and just a much better customer experience overall. So with that, we have also authorized a construction of a 45,000 square foot hangar to accommodate future corporate growth. So we have a number of companies who have been approaching us looking for places to park their very large private aircraft. And we want to make sure that we do everything we can to land those headquarters in our region and make sure that their flight departments are also here. So we need to have the facilities there. So that will actually break ground in 2026. Don't have any tenants for that right now, but there is a long line of people who are interested in kicking the tires on this facility. So we think it won't take very long. So the big thing now that we've talked about roadway, we've adjusted some things on the terminal, we've added some gates, we've done parking, we've done general aviation, we've done cargo development, but the demand on the facility continues, and we want to make sure that we are able to respond and make sure that people can get to where they need to go effectively. So the next stage for us is to really spend some time bringing our airfield up and making sure that it is at the top level that it can be. So in 2026, we're going to have a significant airfield project that will impact air travel in and out of GSP. We are going to rehabilitate our runway 422. If you remember, GSP is a single runway airport. It's 11,001 feet long. It was originally built back in 62 when the first flights run. It was about 6,500 feet. And in the 90s, at two different occasions, we added more length onto the runway, mainly to accommodate some cargo aircraft and those types of traffic that we thought was going to happen. And so it went from 6,500 to 11,001 feet. So with that, the 6,500 feet in the middle is actually asphalt base. And so asphalt has about a lifespan of about 15 to 20 years. So about every 15 to 20 years, we're going to have to go mill it down, repair it, rehab it, and then repave it. When you have one runway, just like on a highway, you need to make sure you do periodic maintenance on it for it to function effectively. But when you have one runway, it's not like you can close a lane. And so there's going to be there complete closures on two different weekends during September of 2026. So the runway was last rehabbed 17 years ago. So 2009 was the last time that we had a paving project that's like this that required closures. Airport in the upstate was very different in 2009 than where we are now. So a little more impactful this time around. But right now we're right in the sweet spot of that 15 to 20 years, and delaying the work any longer really just increase costs and really the length of the project when it does either continue to deteriorate or it fails at some point. So this is where we're going to have to move forward here in 2026 to make sure that we are set up for the growth that we know is going to be coming in the future. So let's go in a little bit about what this project looks like. So again, it's going to pave 6,500 feet of the runway. So on this graphic, it's the yellow color there in the middle. That is the original runway when the airport was opened. We're going to have to mill down, just like on the highway where you take off the asphalt and it has that bumpy surface there. We'll mill that down and then re-asphalt. in a little blue hatch mark there, that's a little deeper mill. That runway has a little bit more issues with it, so we're going to have to dig down a little deeper and fix those issues. And then we are going to repave what they call the shoulders. So that's that red line all the way down the whole length of the runway. That is the pavement that is basically around the edge lights of the runway. So it's not weight bearing. It's not where the aircraft operate. It's mainly to keep debris and things away from the lights on the other side. But it's been 30 years since we paved those. And we're going to have to do some work on our safety areas on the end. Those are those little yellow boxes on the end of the runway. We'll do some repaving, restriping of those as well, along with replacing some concrete panels. So it is a significant project. And it's a project that um, frankly, we'll have to do in phases. So phase one is going to start towards the end of July, and it will run through early September, and it will be approximately a 3-month time frame where we will have nighttime closures. So this is fairly routine. We do this on a couple projects recently, where the runway will close at about 11:30 p.m. So it's about the time the last flight arrives, and it will reopen at 5:30 a.m. the next morning. So we'll have a number of nights there to prepare for the bigger project and to do some prep work. Then when we get on September 11th, 12th, and 13th, that's going to be our first full 72-hour closure of the runway. Then the next weekend, we will do it on September 18th, 19th, and 20th. That will be another 72-hour full closure. Now, during that time, we will close it at 8 a.m. on Friday. So the early morning flights, sometimes if you're flying out, you'll find a 5:30 or 6 in the morning flight on a Friday. They will operate as normal. Once you get to 8 a.m., all the airlines will have their planes off the property, and then we will go to work, and you will have basically every paving company in Georgia, North Carolina, and South Carolina all deployed for 72 hours straight. And we will open that runway back up at 8 a.m. Monday. The first arrivals typically come in around 8:30 or 9 in the morning. And so that's going to be weekend one. If we have great weather, and we're successful in getting the whole project done in the first weekend, and that is the plan. We do have that second weekend, and it's not like we can open the airport up again because the airlines already have to decide a year out whether to sell tickets or not. So on those 2 weekends, they're not going to be selling tickets. So we have that second weekend if we need it, if it's inclement, if it rains on the first weekend, we'll do the work on the second weekend. If we're done on the first weekend, then the second weekend will be totally used to try to reduce the amount of nighttime closures that will happen in phase three. So phase three is once this runway is done through the beginning of November, to finish up any last parts, reinstall taxiway lights, paint the runway with the markings, all those types of things that you have to do to get it fully up to speed. And we will be done with this for another 15 to 20 years when we get close to November or Thanksgiving of 2026. So it's an impactful time frame for this. And for those weekends of the 11th through really the morning of the 14th, and then the 18th to the morning of the 21st, there will be no arriving or departing flights, whether it's GA, cargo, passenger at the airport. You can continue to rent cars, but that's going to be the kind of a downtime for us to get this work done, and it's just something you have to do every once in a while. Now, why did we do a full closure when you can do the work in kind of other ways? A full closure actually helps provide a higher quality of paving. So a nighttime closure, even though it's 11:30 to 5:30 in the morning, by the time you stage equipment, get ready to close down, in the morning to open up the airport, you have about 3.5 or 4 hours of work time. And so paving, you're going to have a lot of little patches along there so the asphalt doesn't last as long, and we're back to doing this over and over and over again. So it's a better, higher quality job to be done. And a full closure, hitting it all on a weekend or two, is actually less impactful overall financially and also operationally for airlines, for the businesses that operate GSP. And frankly, the nighttime closures, when you have thunderstorms and sometimes flights get delayed and to after midnight, those types of things, that becomes much more impactful. In fact, if we didn't do the 72-hour closures, we would have to trade off and add on up to 200 nights of additional nighttime closures to do this. So you would have the prep, the 200 nights, plus the other prep. We could be doing this for over a year every single night. And so it is just really an impactful thing for airlines. And so hitting it all at once is the way to just kind of pull the Band-Aid off and move forward. So why did we pick September? And September is typically one of the driest months of the year. So we do not want rain to happen. And so it's one of the driest months of the year. And it is a slower month for air travel for passengers and airlines. Kids are back in school. The holidays haven't started yet. So it is a downtime. It's easier for airlines to kind of pull back on their schedules if they need to. And also the schedule that we picked by closing at 8 a.m. and then opening back up at 8 a.m. on the Monday, it allows the airlines to push out all of their early morning Friday flights. So if someone's leaving on a Friday to go away for a weekend or to get done after the end of a business week, they can still do that for the early morning push. And then people can come back in on Monday afternoon. So it only really impacts Saturday, which is the slowest day of the week for airlines, and then Sundays. And then for travelers, we can work with them and within if they're having conventions or visitations or tourism, it's always good to help encourage them to stay a little longer. So maybe come in Thursday, go out Monday, enjoy the upstate a little more, spend some money in restaurants and hotels and those types of things. So that's why September was chosen and full closures. So how are we going to tell folks about this? Well, you are among the earliest folks to hear this. We wanted to give everybody at least a year in advance notice, particularly groups that are dealing with economic development, with tourism, with hospitality, folks that are planning events, up to a year in advance. We want to make sure that people know and they can have some time to reaccommodate their plans if they need to. But we're going to come out to the rest of the traveling public. We're going to have press releases. We've set up a web page right now at gspairport.com/trip. So TRIP is the short for Terminal Runway Infrastructure Projects, and we'll have a few more of those to add to the list. But there'll be that. We'll have paid advertising, social media, and a lot of community outreach. So you will, around the community, I will be seen quite a bit between now and September of 2026. But we wanted to make sure that we hit our community partners early so they have plenty of information in advance moving into this. So when we get done with this runway project, what is next? We've been doing a lot over the last few years. So what are we going to spend our time on? Well, one of the things is now that we've have addressed the airfield issues, we've addressed terminal, roadway, parking, air service, we need to address energy. And so we found clearly during Helene that yes, we had backup power. We didn't have it in all the right places that we wanted it. And sometimes the backup power, sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. And so we want to make sure that we have resiliency. And also we want to look at what our sustainability is for the airport. So we are going to be starting here soon within the next year or two, once design is done. We have a project to provide a 3 megawatt solar array that's going to be located on each of the 3 parking garages. So that's going to be enough to provide all the power for our terminal. And then we will have a 4 megawatt battery storage system that will be located nearby. And that will be our backup for those cloudy days. We will still be hooked onto the grid, but hopefully reducing, our pull on the grid. And when things like Helene happen, where we love Duke Power and CPW and everybody else really did amazing jobs to get us totally back up to steam. But if we're able to continue to power ourselves during those situations, they can then deploy their resources to help other customers and companies and residents to get up to power faster. So we think there's a big bonus for us. We think there's a bonus for the region. And so we're going to be moving forward with that. So for the customer, we're also, that means that there will be covered parking on the top floors of each of the three garages. So you won't be paying to park in a garage and be up in the sun on top of the parking garage. You will have covered parking on those, and that will be the solar panel arrays. We're also going to be, this is an FAA project. They're going to be constructing it. They're going to be paying for it, but it will be starting fairly soon in 2026. They're telling us we're going to see with shutdowns and other things that go on, how if that impacts the time frame or not. But there will be a new tower that's about twice the size of our current tower going to be constructed. And this will be situated down next to our general aviation terminal. And it will really set us up for really the next 25, 30, 40 years for infrastructure for air traffic control. So that should be done and in place by 2028. And then once that is all in place, that really opens up the opportunity for us to demolish the existing tower and some associated buildings nearby. And that opens up the ability for us to expand Concourse B. And we are in design right now to go out to at least another 7 gates on the end of the B concourse. And so in that also will be a federal inspection station. So that would be a chance to have a customs area for international passenger flights. We do have that now. It is a 1970s, 80s vintage, so it needs to have a little bit refreshment on it. And so we will have a brand new one that's totally up to all standards in this building. So this doesn't give us a time frame for when we start building this. It will all be based on how passenger traffic develops. But we want to be having a plan and having a, you know, when the demand arrives. So that will be the next few projects amongst a couple dozen others, but those will be some high profile ones that you may see over the next, you know, uh, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. And with that, I think open for any questions if I haven't taken all of our time.
No, you're great. Thank you so much, Tom. Just a lot of information to digest. We'll give people a couple seconds there. Do have a couple comments or questions from Jeff Gentile. Um, Specifically, the first one, is the information available to the public? And of course, the answer to that is yes. But where is it? And are you utilizing the phone systems in your website for questions? And how is that going to look over the next year?
Yeah, so it is at gspairport.com, which is our main website, and you'll do a little backslash TRIP, and we're going to have a button on the front of our website that will draw you there. But we will have this not only with all of the ways that you contact the airport, but we will also have signage out. We're going to have social media. We're going to have stories that we'll have written about it. So we will have it far and wide. And what will happen is that page will have the runway project, but then eventually we'll also include all of these other projects that we were talking about, gate expansions and those types of things.
Great. And Celeste has put that link in the
Right.
chat if anybody wants to see it. Um, well, obviously, for those 2 weekends, if you're flying, you're going to have to make other arrangements and stuff. But I think part of what you're trying to focus on, as you mentioned, is for conventions or conferences or other kind of meetings, just to allow people here to know about it this far in advance so they can make other arrangements if necessary or have other dates for things. So, of course, we will continue to share and other community partners will help you with that. But it seems like, the project, I mean, it's just, I can only imagine how massive it's going to be to coordinate that. I'm just curious who your team, how are they handling and coordinating that massive of a 3-day piece? I would think they're already starting to plan and bring in, work with companies that will be the the folks putting everything down, right?
Yeah, so we actually started about 2 years ago. We didn't
Phew.
have the exact date because we had to negotiate a little bit with the airlines to say where, and each and every airline we had to bring in, and they all, like with any group, you have varying opinions on how the project is done. So we had to do the passenger airlines, had to do the cargo airlines, had to do the large corporations that have tenant bases here. Um, but we are already in the process of finding out we're going to set up a temporary asphalt plant on property to where you don't have to bring it from far away. You can make it here and be able to put that into place. And then I think the RFP for paving companies actually went out, I think last week. So we know what the plan is. We've told them, here's what it is. Now, how much is that going to cost? Those types of things. But it's a significant, project, and it will be like a general contractor with probably a dozen subcontractors that are all paving companies that do highways and other things. And we had to also work and find out when's the state and the cities doing all their paving, and are we conflicting, or can we do it at a time where they may not be doing the paving and we can get all of those resources for those weekends. So it's been a lot of planning, and we really, really hope that it's a dry first weekend.
So, and just in terms of the size of the runway, you're not extending the runway. This paving is of basically the original runway
Yeah.
section. What was added in the 90s is that all? Do you have to do something to that at this time, or what
That
does
was
that
done
look
in the
like?
Yeah, the stuff that was done in the 90s is concrete. And so, and it was because that's where the planes are landing heavier, and it was designed for heavier aircraft. So concrete lasts a little longer. There are some panels that we're going to have to replace there and do some work during this project, but those are typically in good shape. It's repaving the asphalt, and just like a highway, I-85, we saw that with the Gateway project and other things. You can do overnight paving, might be a lane or a section, but at some point, just like they did with the Gateway project, you had to close for a whole weekend, the clover leaf to build that and pave it and do it correctly. And that's where we're at. And so this is something we've done a few times since we've been in operation, and 60 some odd years that we've been in operation. So we've done this. This is coming up on our third time. And so we'll be doing this every 20-ish years moving forward on that runway.
Sure. So I'll get you out with this one. You all have been blessed the whole time. I've been here 15 years with an amazing CEO in Dave Edwards, and Dave is retiring at the end of the year or sometime soon, and being replaced by actual current TATT board member Kevin Howell. Um, Also a very good dynamic leader. What are the internal conversations about the change, and what is it going to be? Will the community, other than it's a different set of people or person kind of representing the airport, what are is there anything we will notice about the change?
Well, I think, obviously, the two gentlemen are different people, have different styles, but the idea was, and this was back years ago, that our commission was very interested in succession planning. And they said they like the way that the airport is moving forward, and they want to keep that train moving in the right direction. And so there was no real it's not like we went for a long search for this. We knew who was going to be in place, when Dave retires, and then we will go when, Kevin's here a long, long time, hopefully. And then at that point, we will have another succession, discussion as well. But the idea is that the public will not see significant changes in how we've been operating, but you will continue to see us being aggressive and going after setting industry, number ones, and getting customer satisfaction, having facilities in place well beforehand, making sure that we're financially stable and successful, to where we don't, have to go and borrow lots of money and get into all kinds of financial issues like some airports have. And so you're not going to see those types of changes, but you may see a little different style. But it's but you'll have the same support staff in place. So hopefully all the changes will be for the better. And that's saying a lot.
Yeah, well, Dave has been amazing, and y'all have a great team, and I have no doubt Kevin will keep everybody on track and keep it going. You're going to have a busy year in 26, so certainly it will be vital to have everything moving in one direction and forward uh, over the next year. But amazing. I mean, when we started these in 2020, right at the pandemic, we were at the as you mentioned, you were down to 1 million, uh, people in through the airport that year because of the pandemic, to the fact that now you're well above where you were pre-pandemic is amazing. So congratulations to everybody at GSP for all that y'all are doing to be such an important part of the community.
Well, thank you so much. Well, and it's all because the community supports us, right? We can only do what we can if people are using the airport and supporting us and telling us what kind of service that they want. And so all the things that we have been putting into place really are a reflection of what our customers tell us. I wish we had a better restaurant. I wish we had a club. I wish we had, this or that. And then we go back and we say, can we do that? How do we make that happen? And so you will definitely see that continue. Dave set and our commission have set a very high bar for us. So we're hoping that we can continue to deliver at those high levels.
Well, we have a comment that says, "I'm so proud of our airport," and I think everybody here will agree with that comment. So with that, Tom, thank you again for being with us, and I think you're going to stay on. So if anyone has a question directly for you, they can reach out to you. And why don't you put your contact information in the chat too, so folks can grab you that way. And with that, Justine, I'll turn it over to you to introduce our resource update.
Thank you. Thanks, Tom. Hey, everyone. I have the pleasure of introducing Sally Basada, and looks like she has some associates with her there from the Gateway House, or maybe just Gateway. Yes, so Sally has some slides that she would like to share with you and some information about Gateway. Sally's also been an important part of our Resilient Upstate Behavioral Health Collaborative work groups also. So if you are not familiar with that, I know that Celeste put the link in the chat. Check it out. Okay, looks like you're ready.
Yeah, hi everyone. Thank you so much. We are so happy to be here. And Tom, I will add that we do support GSP quite a bit, both individually. I was just there last week for a work trip for Clubhouse International, but we are actually a training base. So people come here from all over the world and fly into GSP to be trained at Gateway House so they spend a few weeks with us. We actually have colleagues here right now that flew in to GSP, so definitely support you. But we are so excited to be here. As Justine said, my name is Sally.
I'm Montez. And I'm Rocco.
So we are going to share about Gateway, and we're just happy to be here and to join the mission of 10 at the top.
And today the timing is perfect. Did you know tomorrow's the World Mental Health Day? Our WIDE Gateway started 41 years ago, the result of community-wide needs assessment.
Okay, so show of hands. How many of you have 5 family members or 5 neighbors? Okay, come on, you guys. Y'all got to have more than 5. I can see you. Or 5 colleagues. Yeah, that's probably all of us.
Did you know 1 in 5 adults experience mental illness?
All of us are impacted in some way.
Yeah.
And so we want to be a light for our family, friends, coworkers, and community.
We also understand when someone we care about is struggling, it affects us, and we can't show up for our jobs and wider community fully when we're worried about finding a solution.
So you can see how we bring effective solutions to help someone struggling with a mental illness. We not only help the person succeed, it impacts everyone.
Our why is also an impact on families. Here are some words from the heart of a mom that needed hope for her family.
Yeah, Indy says, for 16 years, we struggled to find help for our sweet son. In all those years, no one told us about Gateway. We went around the country seeking help, not knowing that what we needed was right here in Greenville. Because of Gateway, our son now works and earns a paycheck and is surrounded by people who believe in him. I can only imagine how many more families could be transformed if Gateway were more widely known and supported.
Mental illness is more common than cancer, diabetes, and heart disease. The need is significant.
We must address this crisis, and we can.
We've learned we need to invest in effective long-term solutions.
To do this, we must understand the devastating impacts of isolation.
And the solution.
The challenges of isolation and lack of purpose and opportunity is significant.
You can see the impact in the numbers here.
But we can change this together.
The mission of Gateway is to enrich the lives of those living with severe mental illness by
And I would add not only those living with mental illness, but also their families.
And the wider Greenville community. So how do we do this?
We do this by helping people establish routines, build meaningful relationships, and find purpose.
a clubhouse is a place of opportunity, belonging, and empowerment.
The clubhouse approach is one where people have ownership and participate in their own recovery.
And we work in partnership and collaboration with other organizations and providers.
We offer people opportunities to achieve their full potential.
So how do we do that? Our foundation is the work order day. We've found the tool of work and having a sense of purpose to be powerful recovery tools.
Members and staff work side by side to do the work. All the work is needed work.
From planning and preparing a meal to budgeting for units, from producing a newsletter and a daily news video or tracking statistics, all of the work is accomplished together.
Reach out is a part of an aspect of our day. In Reach Out, each member is reminded that they are missed and welcome and needed at the clubhouse.
Transitional employment is an important part of helping our members enter the workforce and set goals for their lives.
Education. Many members have had their education interrupted by their illness.
The clubhouse provides opportunities and assistance helping members complete or start their certificate degree programs at colleges and universities.
We've learned the strongest way to build relationships in any workplace is through working together.
It builds mutual respect and confidence in a powerful and transformative way. We help people understand they can set and accomplish their goals.
We walk alongside people. We help remove barriers to take that next step of independence.
We celebrate milestones. We open doors for dignity and possibility together.
We have discussed the solution with tangible results.
Let's talk about some of our outcomes.
The clubhouse model is acknowledged as an evidence-based practice, and because this approach gets at the heart of what we all need, it's effective not just here in Greenville, but around the world.
And also, it's cost effective.
Did you know 1 year of holistic recovery services are delivered to clubhouse members for the same cost as a 2-week psychiatric hospital stay?
And Clubhouse typically has the 1% rehospitalization.
This reduction in hospitalization saves millions of dollars. Not only that, but this approach dramatically increases employment rates and success.
Research has shown greater well-being for Clubhouse participants.
This intentional community is an antidote to isolation.
Because of close friendships and someone we can rely on when we need help, we have joy and hope.
Another result of this effective approach, better physical and mental health.
Because our approach is focused on long-term solutions, we address housing needs of our members.
Gateway has contributed to reducing the number of homeless individuals living with mental illness by supporting over 70% of our members to sustain independent living.
This saves dollars.
Things we learn: a collaborative vision, a possibility vision, partnership, inspiration, remembering our why, always finding the path for gratitude, stay grounded in the community for foundations of and purpose, also seeking long-term success.
We have found we are more effective as we partner with others.
So these are just a few of our collaborative partners, and we are so thankful for all of them.
We also partner with many local universities, including Clemson University, USC Upstate, Bob Jones University, the Prisma Psychiatry Residence Program.
Yeah, and in doing this, we are able to support them in learning approaches for bringing stronger practitioners. And we, in fact, had some Bob Jones nursing students that were here today.
As Lieutenant Governor Yvette observed, by providing both opportunity and belonging, Gateway is changing lives every day.
Our outcomes are significant.
More than numbers, this is real people with real outcomes.
People like Jeremy and Hope and Mike and Juan and Ruth.
For Adam and Shamir and Elliot.
When you get a chance, be sure to go to our website and read their full stories. Gateway has had a positive impact on so many family members and people living with mental illness.
But we don't want to be the best kept secret anymore.
We want to bring life-saving hope to have many more of our upstate families, neighbors, and colleagues.
And we need your help to do that.
All right, so let's think about it. How we 10 at the top participants can join together.
You may be asking, how can I help?
Glad you asked. First, think about people you know that would benefit from becoming a member of Gateway and tell them about this resource.
Go to our website to learn how to become a member.
Another way to join, become an employment partner.
We always recommend to other small businesses to reach out to Gateway and see if they could be a good partner for the transitional employment program. I think it's been really neat for us and our employees. You know, we hear a lot of things about removing the stigma with mental illness, and I think that being part of this program has really done that.
Do you have a business need? Become an employment partner.
Become an employment partner and you will get motivated, reliable employees that you can count on to do an excellent job and to show up even on those snow days.
Help us get the word out so we can reach more people in need.
Follow and like us on social media.
Yep, you see their social media handles here. Come tour Gateway. I promise you will be inspired.
Tell 3 people you know about us.
By doing this, you can bring hope and you might save a life.
Remember World Mental Health Day.
Remember, our collaboration, coordination, and cooperation make us stronger.
Join with us in making life fulfilling for everyone in the upstate. Thank you.
Oh, that was incredible. Sally, if you'd like to pop your email in the chat there, or I can do it too. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. It is an amazing facility just on Stone Ave, right outside downtown Greenville. And right, everyone, don't forget tomorrow is World Mental Health Day. Thank you so much for reminding us. And I'll turn it back to Dean. Sally will put her email in the chat in case you want to reach out directly to her. But I did put the website in the chat there too. Thank you. Thank you, y'all.
Thank you for
That
having
was amazing. Thank you, Sally. Thank you, guys. So awesome session. Thank you again, Tom, and to the folks at Gateway for sharing. Lots of big things going on, and we will make sure, as I'm sure you'll hear quite a lot over the next year about the closing of the airport next September for 2 weekends, but we're glad that Tom was able to share about that and all the great things happening there at GSP. And then you guys are hit the ball out of the park there from Gateway. I've had the chance to tour. It is amazing. If you have never checked them out, please be sure and do so. So our next TAT Chat is November 13th, and will feature Dr. Candy Fradair, the Upstate Director of the South Carolina Department of Public Health for the Upstate region, to talk about some of the health issues we've been hearing about in the news and where things stand here in the Upstate. So there's a link to register for the November TAT Chat. And with that, I say have a great rest of your Thursday and hopefully a great weekend. And thank you for joining us.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Thank you. Have a great afternoon.
Bye.